kick us off, Steve. Yeah, you kick us off.
So we are halfway through day one at HPE Discover 2022. A lot of interesting announcements. The keynote this morning. We have Pat Moorhead here to talk and help us understand what was talked about.
Who is Pat Moorhead?
Pat Moorhead is the founder and principal analyst of MoorInsights Strategy, a company that we're very close to because we're analysts at MoorInsights Strategy.
That was great. That was kind of awkward. That was fun. No, that was really good. No, listen, I think...
I'm the awkward one. He's the pretty one. And you bring the charisma.
No, gosh. You guys are great. I need to do the show more often. No, I think I've done the show once, but I appreciate you guys having me on again.
Thanks for joining us.
And what I particularly like is that it's one of the few podcasts that it's informal but very robust with knowledge and opinions. And at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of news out there, but with industry analysts, right, people want our opinions.
Yes, they do.
Right?
Yes.
And informed opinions from more years of experience than any of us would like to admit.
Yes.
But no, listen, I mean, so top line for me so far for this show is first off, if you remember, about 3 years ago, HPE CEO Antonio Neri said, every product we will have GreenLake as a service by 2022.
Yep.
And it was such a subtle victory lap.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it was so subtle. I mean, so not me. I mean, I would have been like shooting fireworks off and having mission accomplished. But I think the company deserves a lot of credit. I mean, listen, the company's not perfect. If you remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was literally, hey, can you guys go a quarter without a major disaster?
That's right.
Right? And then, you know, software lawsuits, I mean, stuff blowing off, I mean, blowing up. But I really get this sense of stability, and it truly is a different company from my point of view. So it was not only a victory lap on the commitment that Antonio made, but also, you know, and I love this type of presentation. They showed they have 70 cloud services, and it was so many they can't even fit it on one slide. They had to put it on a scrolling demo. And by the way, you know, we've all had our stints in marketing at one point or another. That was for effect.
Yep. Oh yeah.
There's so many.
Yes.
I cannot fit it. Now I wish they all had put it on one slide that you can't see.
Yeah.
AWS loves to do that, by the way. That you can't. That's the point of it. I also like them sharing their key customers.
Yeah.
And these are. It's funny. This is not, you know, Billy Bob's apothecary out of Belgium. I mean, I saw some huge global names on there, and it doesn't mean that they're all in and they don't do business with anybody else, but to get customers like this for GreenLake, I thought was a big deal.
Well, it validates the strategy, right? And it validates that vision that Antonio laid out.
It does, and you know, it's interesting. We always need to be careful as analysts to say one vendor over another, but factually, you know, HPE came out first with the declaration. HPE offers more services right now than any other traditional on-prem vendor as a service. Those are just facts.
That's
right. So, and it's, you know, and it's not that other people won't maybe catch up.
Right.
But you know, there's a lot of benefit in high tech to being first and getting that momentum going. So we're gonna have to see where this goes.
But it is an objective measurement.
So what I appreciate, you talked about the number of offerings that they have with GreenLake. What I appreciate about the approach that HPE is taking is these are very functional, very meaningful offerings. It's not like, and this is not to denigrate AWS or the public cloud guys, but they have a lot of building blocks. And you look at what HPE is delivering, and it's things like backup as a service, right? And we're going to go close this gap and bring Zerto into the fold and productize that as part of GreenLake. These are meaningful pieces of functionality for an IT administrator.
Well, a couple of the biggest announcements that they made today was, it's funny, we've been talking about the private cloud at least as long as my company has existed, right? And we were all backing OpenStack.
That's right.
Which was, okay, that didn't work out very well.
No, it didn't.
Maybe there's a few retailers and carriers still running it, but first of all, it wasn't a complete stack, and it was hard to find people who understood it. But now that we're solidified on containers, things get a little bit easier, and even stuff like bare metal. So they brought out this GreenLake for Private Cloud Enterprise, which is basically private cloud but using containers and bare metal. I don't know about VMs.
VMs too. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Which to me is probably the biggest, will be the biggest uptake. If you think about this, because it's basically a ground platform that you can run applications on.
You know what's interesting about that one? And like we talk to IT folks a lot, right? And what I always hear is private cloud was never fully realized in the enterprise because people talk skills gap. It's really, IT is overwhelmed doing so much.
Yeah.
I can go to one organization and say, here's my environment, here are the apps I use, the workloads I use, go stand it up for me, manage it for me, and just bill me like I would the cloud, but
Right.
be very transparent and that to me, talking about the uptake, that
Right.
to me is a huge benefit for enterprise IT. If I were still in IT, that's the kind of service I would gravitate to almost immediately. And it shows, going to what you were also saying, Patrick, it's, the whole Antonio thing, I love the fact that this guy stood up 3 years ago and talked about GreenLake, and he measured every single year where they were
Yeah.
and progressing toward that.
Yeah, the company does have a history of this, because if you remember, he was all about the hybrid cloud.
Yep.
And also talking about the edge.
Yep.
And no, I think, yeah, I mean, one time is lucky, twice is, maybe better luck. But when you string 3 or 4 of these together, I'm pretty optimistic about the company.
Yeah.
Some pretty big announcements today. GreenLake that are in your neck of the woods, whether it's backup, storage, DR. What stood out for you?
The GreenLake with HCI, the ability to migrate virtual machines from my GreenLake installation into the public cloud.
Okay.
Right, it's HPE saying not only consumption-based is the future, but they also recognize that every enterprise has a public cloud presence. And the ability from a single control plane to manage those VMs across cloud boundaries, man, that is killer for an IT administrator.
Yeah, now, was that into AWS?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that's, they had a pretty snazzy demo up
Yes,
there, I think,
yes.
where they showed this.
They really did.
Yeah.
It's simple to use.
Yeah. So we never declare victory, right? Because first of all, there are companies that are a lot bigger
Yes.
than HPE out there that have broader levels of offerings like PCs,
Yeah.
right? Both Lenovo and Dell Technology. One thing I'd like to see HPE really lean into, and I know it's a matter of time because HPE CEO Fidelma, make sure I get this right. Russo, thank you. Talked about marketplace,
Yeah.
right? Because you want a marketplace to be able to zoom in and zoom out of the public cloud, and that is a little bit sparse right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
To kind of put it nicely.
I suspect they'll build that. The other thing I want to see out of them too is I want to see the kind of coalescence of this security strategy they have. I know we have Will Townsend, who's our analyst, but we've been talking to HPE a lot about their security, and there are a lot of pieces: Silicon Root of Trust, Project Aurora, Trusted Supply, all of these pieces that they talk about as individual kind of components.
Right.
I really want to see that all up kind of realization of that, where it's like you take that box, you put it in, you never even worry about security, you never worry about setting up parameters. It's secure from the moment you plug it in.
Listen, the more complex that IT gets, and it's fractalizing before our eyes, the more that security comes in to play, because I mean, the more surface area you have, and the surface area that is not inside of your firewall, the bigger risks you take. And then you add on top of that multiple APIs that you're pulling in.
Yep.
You have SaaS data that's going in and out.
That's right.
It's more critical than ever to have this layer of security to assure that you can do all this.
Yep. That's right. That's right. And that's the big challenge, right? It's like you open up new attack vectors, new exploits, and you're never going to get past that, right?
Yeah.
The question is there that one vendor that can make it so I, as an IT organization, don't have to worry about that?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, there is a consolidation in security, right? And the reason is it used to be best of breed piece parts, but what enterprise realized, the time it took them to piece part everything together, they'd miss 2 or 3 revisions.
That's right.
So it ended up not being secure, even though it was integrated. And so we are in a industry consolidation where, and by the way, the attack vectors are closer to the metal than they've ever been before.
That's right. Yep.
That I see companies like HPE who are the metal, taking an even bigger role as a consolidator in the industry.
Yeah, they're doing a big demo downstairs around security, and they talk a lot about shared responsibility between the between themselves and the customer, and they talk a lot about kind of overall resiliency, right? And not just the, do I have the right software installed with the right ports closed, but really that what you're saying, that holistic, integration of solutions that leaves truly a zero trust environment.
Now, is that zero trust is that like true zero trust, or like the pretend zero trust? You know what I'm asking?
Well, we're going to go find out. We're going to spend the rest of the day. We're at the midpoint of the day, and we all have sessions to go off to. We're going to bring some folks in to talk about exactly that.
Okay.
And get those questions answered directly from the horse's mouth. And we're actually going to try and get some HPE customers as well to tell us what they think about the story.
And we'll tell you tomorrow.
Guys, thank you so much for bringing me on your show.
Doing this.
And it's an honor for it to be part of MoorInsights and Strategy, but I can't wait to see how it turned out, and hopefully I didn't scare any of your viewers and listeners away.
We hope so too.
Don't worry, we've already scared them all away.
Right. We'll be back at the end of the day with a wrap up and some guests.
Yep.
So
Sounds good, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, KG.